Dear chemists, you are now ready to start week 1, Rates of Reactions and Atomic Theory. This week you'll be learning to understand that we have over 100 elements in the periodic table. You will also understand how we classify these elements, and you're going to spend a bit of time learning how to use your data booklet. Now, your data booklet is a very important document which you will always have beside you when you are completing exercises or completing class tests or in your very important exam. There is no requirements to memorise all the data. You will always have this data booklet to hand to refer to. If it's possible for you, you can see that I have posted an attachment, which is the SQA Chemistry Data Booklet. If you can, please print off a copy for yourself. Don't worry if this is not possible, because as soon as you're back at school, we will give everybody a paper copy of this. It contains lots of information about elements and compounds, and as I've said, you'll become very familiar with this document. Now, this is all prior learning. That means you'll have learned about the periodic table in S1 and S2 science. So these first few slides are just simply a revision of what you should already know. If you're looking at this slide, you will see there is a copy of the periodic table, and if you look closely at it, you can see there are lots of numbers, there are words as well, and there's also symbols. And it's very important for you to understand why these are arranged in the pattern that is in front of you just now. And they are based on what we call their chemical properties. Well, who is responsible for the way that we look and see the periodic table today? Well, it was this very good looking Russian chemist called Mendeleev, and he did lots of research into where he thought all the elements that had been discovered should lie. He actually named a particular radioactive man-made element that was named after him because of all the work he had done to complete the periodic table. And you can see here that his chemical symbol is capital M, small d. Boys and girls, we're now at a slide where I want you to start constructing your own notes. So if possible, could you get a sheet of paper or an old jotter or a notebook that you perhaps have or underneath your bed with lots of dust on it, blow off the dust and have something to write down your Chemistry National 5 notes. What I'd like you to do is to make sure that you follow what task 2 is asking, which is simply to write the heading, the periodic table, and to copy the 3 bullet points which are there. Okay. As you do this, you can see that this is prior learning. You have come across the word element, you've come across the word atom. You should remember that everything in the world is made up of just over these 100 elements. And you should know that it's the periodic table is what we use in order to see the arrangement of all the known elements. Now again, don't worry. We're never going to ask you to memorise the periodic table. However, it has been done by a few pupils in the past. But task 3 is I'd like you to listen to the periodic table song, which is embedded on this slide. And if you have a chance, use the interactive periodic table, which will allow you to actually physically see what some of these, in fact, all the elements which are on the periodic table, what they look like at room temperature. Okay, so please, very carefully, complete tasks 3. There is no need to write anything for this task. Now in S2, you learned a lot about the states of matter. And I know that you are very well aware that the 3 states of matter when we're looking at chemistry are solids, liquids, and gases. So when you look at the periodic table, there are some of the elements which are solids at room temperature. This one on the left is sodium, and it's a metal, and the one on the right is sulfur, which is a non-metal. But you can see clearly that they are both solids at room temperature. There are only two liquids on the periodic table which are two elements, sorry, which are liquids at room temperature on the periodic table. That would be bromine, that's your picture to the left, and mercury, which is a metal. So bromine is a non-metal and mercury is a metal. Finally, many of the non-metal elements within the periodic table are gases, and we'll have a look at the non-metals later on this lesson. As scientists, and as in particular chemists, we like to group things. We like to put things into particular groups according to something that they all have in common. The word we use when we group things that have something in common is called classification. Now, initially, the periodic table can be classified in three very simple ways. That is, we could look at the periodic table and place the elements into two groups, either metal or a non-metal. We could also look at the periodic table and decide, yep, some of those are solids, some of them are liquids, and some of them are gases at room temperature. There's a third and final way that simply we can place it into two different groups, and that would be natural and man-made. Man-made means they have been made by scientists. The first classification is two groups, metals and non-metals. And you can see I have a red staircase placed on this periodic table picture. You can see it's below boron, so you can see there's a line, and then it comes down beside aluminium and between aluminium and silicon. Then again it comes along underneath silicon and okay, as you would normally see it, okay, as a staircase. So in this one here that you have, okay, this particular periodic table is one in which you have in your data booklet. If you've not managed to print off your data booklet, perhaps you can print off this slide, which will allow you to complete task 4. I am looking for you to copy the step ladder. Now be careful, make sure you know exactly where it starts. It starts just under boron, and you come in one element, down one element, along an element, down one element, and so on. Okay, can you please very carefully complete this task now? Your staircase should now be in, and I would now like you to construct a key. Now the example of the key that I have given you here is metals and non-metals. So I want you to colour in one side in one particular colour. I've decided to colour the left hand side in blue, and I have coloured in my right hand side for non-metals being yellow. But I would like you please to make sure that you have your key. You can decide to use any particular colour. Please ignore the little yellow box on the top left. That will be something that we will talk about later on in the course. A bit of thinking for you third year. You will see here are the other two ways by which we can classify the elements of the periodic table. One way is naturally occurring, that's found on the earth, in the Earth's crust, and the other one is man-made, which is made by scientists. I would like one example for each, but this is up to you to research this, and I would like you to copy and complete both tables. Okay, I have left you a little hint for naturally occurring, elements 1 to 92, and made by scientists, you have to go a little bit further. The second table, I would like you to write one example for solid, one example for liquid at room temperature, and one example for gas. Please make sure, boys and girls, that you use a ruler and when you're drawing a table, otherwise it's not accepted at National 5 level. Now so far we've looked at a very simple way by which we can classify the periodic table. Metals and non-metals, solid, liquid and gases, man-made and natural. But there is one other way, okay, in which the periodic table is classified, and it's arranged according to the position of each element based on its chemical properties. So we know initially that the table can be split by that staircase, the zigzag line, metals and non-metals. However, we need to also remember that there are vertical columns. So if you look where hydrogen is, lithium, sodium, potassium, that is column 1. You can see there's lots of vertical columns. Now we don't refer to these as columns, we refer to these as groups. So vertical columns are called groups. When we go from left to right across the table, these are called horizontal rows, and we refer to the rows as being called periods. So groups, top to bottom, periods, left to right. Task 5, copy and complete the text in your jotter, filling in the missing words. At the beginning of today's lesson, we said that one of the learning outcomes was to know what an element is, and we gave you a definition. In fact, it's one of the things that you've already written down in your notes. If I had a silver ring, and you've all got a silver ring, probably, you've seen one, a silver ring contains millions and millions and millions of silver atoms, which are all the same. Right? There's nothing else in it. Silver ring contains only silver atoms. If we were to look at an iron nail, the same thing would exist. In an iron nail, there are millions and millions and millions of iron atoms. Okay? And therefore, an element can be given the definition of a substance which is made up of atoms of one kind. So an element is made up of one type of atom. Okay? And you already have that within your notes. There are 3 pictures of 3 different examples of elements. We have gold, we have liquid bromine, and we have carbon. Now again, we like to cut corners. We don't really like writing out full name gold and the full name bromine and the full name carbon. We work with symbols, and each element has its own symbol, either a single capital letter or a combination of a capital and a small letter. Here are some examples of element symbols. A big capital C is the symbol for carbon. Okay? An AG is a symbol for silver. You can see it's a capital A and small g. Lithium is a capital L, small I. Capital H for hydrogen. Copper is capital C, small u. And nitrogen is a capital N. Over to you, boys and girls, for task 7. Using your data booklet, can you again use a ruler and copy complete the tables below? So you're either to write the symbol or you're to write the name of the element. Okay? Please remember capitals and capital letters and small letters are important to get correct. Keep working through the second part of task 7. Your final task of this week is to use your data booklet, and could you please complete questions 1 to 4. Question 1 is in front of you right now, and you can see that it's reasonably straightforward, where you're using your periodic table to find either the element name or the symbol. In this question, you need to find the page in the data booklet which allows you to look at the dates of discovery. So you need to use your data booklet, find the page for dates of discovery. In this one, you may have to research this a little bit more. However, I would like you to use page 5 of your data booklet to answer the following 3 questions. Final question of the week, you are looking for or finding the melting points and boiling points of a variety of different elements. Again, it's up to you to use your data booklet and find the correct table on the correct page, which will allow you to extract this data. Well done, third year. You have now completed this week's task. The final bit of work you will be given will be posted on Thursday morning. It is a quick quiz based on the work you have learned within this section. Please make sure you complete this. It's very important for your teachers to know that you're doing okay and that you're engaging with the lessons that we have been posting. Thank you.